Hello, welcome. This is a session about mutagens of agile transformations. Despite the fact that we started it that funny way, to me personally it's not fun because I discovered that every company I enter to, whatever it is, permanent employment or just consultancy, I discovered these mutagens are ubiquitous, okay? So I'm not saying that the mutagens that I will tell you about are only those. There are much more, of course. But these ones are always existing. And when I start speaking to people, I understand that they even don't know that they exist. What we will do in this session, first of all, I will explain the concept of mutagens. Yeah? Next, I will explain the concept of optimization goals and how they are connected to these mutagens. Also, I will provide some example of optimization goals for agile organizations. Many organizations, many possibilities about the optimization goals, what they could be. And there will be one example. We will speak a little bit about the consistency of optimization goals with strategic business goals of the organization. And finally, a little bit about promotion of these optimization goals and their practical application. And magic is that all this is going to happen within 1 hour. So we will try to do it. A couple of words about me. This is me. Yeah, maybe a little bit different because several years passed. Actually, I'm quite old. I already 15 years with agile mindset, I would put it this way. I worked with product groups, product teams probably from 3-4 people up to 1,000 plus people. In general, my career started more than 20 years ago as a software developer, and also I was a project manager, head of project management office, blah, 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 PMP, Prince 2, all these regalias. Some of companies that I worked for during my career that you probably know, these. If you don't know, then yeah, it's not that much important. Currently, I'm living in Portugal. Yet I don't speak Portuguese for some reason. And yeah, I have these badges. So I have some badges from LESS and from Scrum.org. All right. So if you have any questions about my personality, we can catch up afterwards. Working with companies of different, I would say, really sizes and industries, having absolutely different cultures and locations. As I said, I discovered that the attempts to adopt agile frameworks or just even try some agile approaches always connected to some common mistakes, and they lead to some mutations of their agile nature. Some of the symptoms of these mutations, what I'm talking about. Maybe you know this term Agile-Theater. Well, essentially you gave different titles or names to the same stuff, like roles, for instance. So people proceed acting the same. Their behavior does not change, but yeah, we have agile names there. Cool. Another symptom of agile mutations, well-known term Zombie-Scrum, and essentially people are following some tools, techniques, methods, not really thinking about what is the original purpose of those, not trying to achieve what stands behind these all practices, tools, and etc. Now I'm going to speak about one software product company, and predominantly all the examples from this session will be about software development because this is my career and I'm speaking about what I know and what I worked with. One organization tried to adopt, first they tried to adopt Agile framework, and this Agile framework was designed to actually optimize such organizational characteristic as adaptiveness for value maximization. So probably the people who are familiar with LESS should know this stuff, right? So I'm not speaking about specific Agile framework, but you can figure out. One of the principles which help this Agile framework optimize this organizational characteristic was customer centricity. And one of the organizational solutions which this Agile framework offers in order to go towards this optimization goal through this principle, maximize the number of teams capable to deliver customer value. I mean front to back, or end to end. So far so good? Okay. Now, of course, organization had a lot of concerns, and I would say that from my perspective, maybe 85–90%, but kind of the most part of those concerns were very reasonable. However, the question is how they treated these concerns. Quality of architecture was the concern, and their treatment was, okay, let's organize our teams around architectural elements. Well, you already can see that it led them to maximizing the number of teams with specific focus on specific architectural elements. And yes, of course, mutation happens. So essentially, Agile framework drives you towards one direction, and you, from the other side, you're trying to implement completely different stuff. What it led in practice? First of all, a lot of conflicts, of course, because some people who worked and were associated with this framework, like promoters of the Agile framework, they tried to convince people who tried to implement exactly that approach on the red column. And they could not find common grounds, I would say, for this. We will look at this very soon. Important to understand that the concern here was quite reasonable. Architecture, of course. Without good architecture, you cannot really build something reliable and secure and all this stuff. So good architecture is very important. But the way how the organization considered this concern was that it is a primary concern. What it means? It means that, okay, we need to achieve this, and whatever works better for this, we take it. Despite the fact that it can be maybe not that much sort of compliant with some theoretical stuff driven by this theoretical Agile framework. There was another way, and this is it. If you put the same concern as important yet secondary, then you also can find some principles which can help you to address this concern, yet not jeopardizing the primary concern. So if you put the quality of architecture as a concern, yet secondary one, and keep adaptiveness for value maximization as your primary concern, then you can find out that, okay, maybe such principle as technical excellence, which should be understood in a proper way, of course, with strong, for instance, in this case, strong architectural expertise. And maybe, well, in the example of this organization, it was effective self-management, free from team dysfunctions. And as a result of these principles, they found a lot of solutions. Well, I will not go through all of this right now, but the fact is that, of course, when management compared the two, okay, I have this button here. The solution here is just maximize the number of teams working only on specific components. Simple, yeah? Moreover, most managers know how to do it well. Well, I mean, kind of do it, not the outcomes. This, you can see it's quite a lot already, even on the list. It's dangerous for me as a manager, probably because I don't know how to do it. So you can imagine what was the decision between these two. Yeah? Yet, the point of this slide is to tell you that from my experience, absolutely the same questions raised to almost every company, and sometimes only this option is available. So many companies even don't think about the alternative Why? And this is something that we are going to look at soon. Yeah, well, should you go for the second? Obviously, you would kind of kill two. No, it's bad comparison. You would achieve two goals simultaneously. Yeah. Now, I would ask the audience to try to follow a little bit. So I'm going to give you a little causal loop diagram, and I ask you to follow because I will ask you some questions. Okay. So another software product company, and this is, well, let's keep it just a manager. And manager satisfaction is one of the key variables of these causal diagram loops. Manager satisfaction in these specific companies, I understand that this is quite unusual, but depended on how the manager's effectiveness looked from the perspective of upper management. In turn, the upper management considered that the higher feature velocity is one of the key measurements of how well manager is doing. Yeah? Okay, and why they did think this way? Because the logic was that higher feature velocity, more customer value. Right? Okay, so far so good. Next, a manager had a quite big question. Well, essentially, he came from the command and control ways of working, and one of the most powerful ways of achieving something is kind of put pressure on the team. Yeah? So his question was, I can put more or less pressure to increase feature velocity. Should I go for increasing this pressure? Would the increase of this variable be a good solution for this manager? Any opinions? No. Who knows? Let's try it out. Okay, he tries this out, or she, I don't know. It causes the temptation of the team to sacrifice something not that much important. What can be not that much important? Effort actually spent on improving users' experience. Why not? Nobody looks after that. Maybe yes. And ultimately, it led them to decreasing the overall effort necessary to produce each feature. So works happens faster, and feature velocity increases. Yay. So now the question, the same. Was it a good solution for this manager?
Shortest time.
Good point, but right now, does it look like a good solution? Yeah, good solution, yeah. So this way he thought, and in parallel, what happened, reducing effort to improve customers' experience lead them to reducing customer value delivered with each output. And from this side, the speed of increase of customer value reduced. And the point is the following, that the strength of this specific influence coming from this variable, from the bottom, to the speed of increase of customer value was much stronger, because this product depended a lot on the customer satisfaction. So maybe every one of you even can recall some product which is full of functionality, yeah, but so shitty to use it. Sorry for my French. It's really so difficult that, yeah, maybe I have no alternatives, but you put me in the conditions that I have to use it, but I hate using it. Yeah. So should I find any alternative, I switch immediately. So that happened here. Yeah, but not right now. So far so good, right? Customer satisfaction dropped. Business outcomes, not immediately, unfortunately. Should it be like today or tomorrow? Maybe they would learn faster. But ultimately, it hits the perception of the management's effectiveness. The same question to you guys and ladies. Is it good or bad now for the manager once more? Okay. Any other opinions? Okay. But the tricky point is this. Rather good, because, let me show you, Because so far, the manager's perception still depends on both. Well, yeah, but what should we do? Maybe we should just even more feature velocity, huh? Maybe should put more pressure on people. Well, hopefully, not every company goes this way, but imagine that in some companies, well, I can say that in some companies it happens, really, happens the unusual case of systems thinking. So people put this on the CLD or any other modeling tool, and understood that the connection between the feature velocity and perception of managers' effectiveness is wrong, absolutely. So they don't need it. So they said, okay, look, manager, the only you need to do is to ensure that our customers are satisfied. Yeah, of course, keeping in mind the cost, but anyways. And in this case, it goes, yeah, this way. Yeah? So pressure to increase feature velocity becomes sort of bad. Now I want you just to understand one very important point, that based on this example, I wanted to show that something very common happened here. Not speaking about exactly this situation, but about the concept. Look, first of all, the feature velocity was this cornerstone, this optimization goal of this system. It was not spoken, it was just intrinsic understanding what is the most important. Yet, the speed of increase of customer value was important, yet it was considered as secondary concern. And in these circumstances, the pressure to increase feature velocity was consistent with this specific optimization goal. Okay? Now what happened next when the learning happened? This optimization goal changed, and now the same, absolutely the same variable became inconsistent with optimization goals. Essentially, yeah, in system thinking there's no good or bad, just because it's always dependent on what you want to optimize for. And normally when I come, of course, this is less audience, but when I come to managers, I ask not about the optimization goals, this is, I ask, what do you want to achieve with this? Yes, we want to achieve business value. Okay, no, they tell a different way. We want to achieve something different. But anyways, different business value type, right? And I say, what do you want to achieve optimizing your organization? And now, silence, because this is absolutely unclear. Now, this manager, in this case, thinks, just because of his mental model, because of his experience, that more pressure will lead them to winning organizational setup. Yeah, excuse me very much for this. This is a Scrum Master, okay? I tried to Google a picture of a Scrum Master, and there was so many weird pictures, so this is one of those, okay? But anyways, you will memorize well. Okay, so Scrum Master in this case says, but we need to put less pressure. And this is a conflict, because one person says, yeah, more, another less. But what actually they think about? They think about something that really bothers them most. The manager is concerned about the feature velocity, actually, not about the pressure. Pressure is just a means of achieving something. And Scrum Master probably thinks about more customer value. And lack of North Pole exists in this situation, so they cannot really have anything to put on this and agree on something, and starting from there come to some agreement. They have ultimately no chance to reach agreement. So, mutagens. First mutagen that I want to tell you about is the optimization goals are not defined. Well, obviously, what I told you so far was about the absence of defined optimization goals. But this is not only it. Sometimes, well, yeah, let me finish first about this. What are the consequences? Each one optimizes for different primary concerns. Manager for feature velocity, Scrum Master for value, etc. Endless debates you can notice with good or bad, is it good, agile framework. I can speak loudly, I don't have a fear about saying safe word here, okay? Is safe, I mean exactly, yeah, this characterizes. So, is safe good or bad? Look, I truly believe that safe is good in some specific circumstances. When you want to optimize for the sake of those optimization goals for which this framework is built, whatever it is. So this is a separate story. And also less. Sometimes it's really, well, if you put it here, it will help you to thrive and help you to achieve whatever you want. But sometimes it's really useful. So all depends on what actually you want to achieve in your organization, what organizational characteristics you want to optimize, in what way. Organizational solutions lacking alignment between them. Maybe you noticed in some organizations, maybe in all organizations, some solutions are applied, other solutions are applied, and there is a feeling that they are heading towards different directions, even within one company by one manager. Primary concerns of people often inconsistent with framework. Yeah, as in that case, manager wanted more feature velocity, while the agile framework wanted completely different. Yeah, so consequences, again, these are just a couple of examples, but much more agile mutations you can find there. Second mutagen, I also saw amazing examples actually of really declared optimization goals, but not promoted. So some people knew about these optimization goals, some even did not know, and even management who decided upon them did not put them that seriously, you know. Well, if something is not promoted, then people stay with their own understanding, and the same consequences. And the third, quite interesting to me personally, because it's quite rare, maybe because optimization goals are mostly not defined, but when they're defined and even promoted, sometimes they are not aligned with strategic business goals. So essentially, the chosen optimization goals are kind of wrong for your business. And what I noticed happened in that case is that instead of actually rethinking your optimization goals, you just do quick fixes. Yeah? And what it means that your solutions go against your own optimization goals. And again, people see that what management does is inconsistent and proceed doing the same. So the same consequences come. Just summary, right? Optimization goals not defined, not promoted, inconsistent with strategic business goals. Okay, now, what are the optimization goals? How can we understand this concept in general? So first of all, organizational goals are set for specific organizational characteristics. Just a hint, don't try to choose more than 2-3 characteristics, because otherwise, yeah, you're missing something in the understanding of the goals. You will not be able to follow all this, what happens with them. And also the direction, in which direction you want these characteristics to optimize them, up or down, simply saying. Now, another business, completely another business, superheroes business, this way. What organizational characteristics you would like to optimize for the superhero? Mental capability, maybe, huh? Well, not every superhero needs mental capability, but let's imagine, okay. So let's imagine that we want to maximize mental capability and physical strength, of course, for sure. So, first of all, optimization goals, they cannot guarantee you the success, but the optimization goals maximize your capability of achieving your strategic business goals, of course. Yeah? So now, I would like to also speak about a very important aspect. Well, if you remember, okay, you might not remember, but I was a project manager a very long time ago, and I learned very important lesson that all that business is built upon is risk. Yeah? Should there be no risk, no less is needed, no agile is needed, nothing is needed. You just go and do. Even speaking about this superhero business, such risk could happen there. Could be that competition may be, competitors may have some unique knowledge or skills, or maybe they are better prepared for ever-changing conditions of battle, whatever. I'm trying to say that optimization goals, actually, they help you to enable effective risk management. And when you, well, if you are going to speak to your upper management, for instance, about this concept, I suggest to really think about this in the words of risk management, because if managers are kind of from the world of project management, they can get it better. So, speaking about risks, for some risks, of course, even speaking about software development, for some risks, experts can reliably clarify your uncertainties. And in these cases, reliable estimates can be provided. Effective upfront planning, you know, sometimes happens. And effective traditional project management is the way to go. Yet, in one e-commerce product company, now we're speaking about another example, so they put all their risk sources on the horizontal lane or scale. And on the vertical scale, they put the risk amount, which is actually a combination of risk probability and severity of consequences. And for these specific risks, they see that actually they are that way going, so they are quite predictable, so they can estimate them. However, other risks are a little bit different. What are they? Examples. There was a question: what change of customer journey will maximize the user's conversion rate? I hope it's clear what is conversion rate. So it's kind of how well your users convert from just first coming to your website to those who buy something, like goods, for instance. So this question actually bared a huge risk, because customer journey is a stuff that you may invest a lot of time and effort and money, right, to change, but it may be completely wrong. It can make it even worse compared to before. Next question: what midterm goals will be optimal for strategic goals? Who knows? Even in just normal business, it's kind of quite a big question, right? And the risk amount is huge. Which icon, well, little tiny thing, which icon will be intuitively understood by users? Of course, if you compare the size of these bars, it's relatively low. But there's something very common for this. Couple of our other examples. How to distribute work between teams and within teams, and also about technical solutions. Now, these risks, they have a very common something, and this something is that no one can give reliable answers. I mean, really reliable, so that they can kind of guarantee or give you estimate like, if you go this way, then with probability of 75%, for other 25%, you probably need to have a time buffer or a budget buffer, whatever. So this is the estimate. If nobody can give you that, then this is a specific risk. And this company discovered that actually the major part of all the risk amount comes exactly from these type of risks. So when the majority of risk from questions for which no one can give reliable answers, unfortunately they discovered that traditional project management did not work. Okay, well, nothing completely new probably. Then they thought about this with some help from some Agile coaches, of course, that Agile makes sense when no one can reliably clarify upfront the uncertainties which drive the majority of risk. So otherwise, you probably should not bother that much. Another product company, again from the software world. This is the example of these uncertainties. Which type of uncertainties they considered related to this when no one can clarify upfront. Goals. And not just goals, but because you can set any goals right away, right? But for the value maximization. And then I discovered this question probably 5 years ago, that I always spoke about some value. What is this value? And they specified it. the value in their terms is the progress towards strategic business goals. So essentially, whatever we do, we always consider, does it really advance us towards our strategic goals? And does it advance the way we want it that fast? Goals, strategy, priorities, in general directions, design, functional solutions, technical solutions, well, you know, all this stuff. Of course, these incorporated organizational questions like organizational structures, roles and responsibilities, processes. So when they started thinking about this and really analyzing, can anyone give them reliable answers to these uncertainties? No. And then came the question, how can we actually manage these risks? And Agile gives these answers. So they considered this very, very simple approach, which is inspect and adapt, you know, of course, right? So you adapt something, look at this as kind of experiment, learn from this, and blah, blah, blah. Okay, so this is very simple. But they started thinking about the effectiveness of this approach. In general, you can just inspect and adapt, hitting nowhere. So they decided that in order to maximize our capability of using this specific Agile risk management, we want two things: speed and quality of clarifying these uncertainties. Next, what happened? Well, just for the sake of understanding what we're doing right now, we are coming to the understanding what are the optimization goals. So this is the way how you potentially could do it in your organization, how you could lead this consideration. So what they did next? What is needed, or what this speed and quality of clarifying these uncertainties depend upon? Value of adaptation. So each adaptation that they do, each experiment, if you want each sprint, for instance, yeah, the value that they achieve within each one, it is critical. And the value is, again, in terms of the progress towards strategic business goals. So in turn, value of adaptation depended on value of input to the decision making. So those people who actually worked within their teams, yeah, the value of their input was critical, not one person. And just to recall that we are speaking about the situations where there's no one who really can give reliable answers. So the more people contribute, but not just to show themselves, right? But to really try to achieve something in common, the better value of input you have for your decision making. And this is about the people who really committed together with you. Yeah? So if we are speaking about, put it the words of Scrum or less, value adaptation depends, of course, on the product owner making decisions about the priorities and the backlog. But the input comes from people. And if people are not committed, there is no input, or even the input is misleading. On the other hand, they also understood that there's a very important stuff about learning, so speed of learning for value maximization. And it depended, of course, on the commitment. And it contributed to the value of input to the decision making. There was also another quite important stuff, and by the way, you can find references to this, not references, but connections to LESS, for instance, how LESS is organized. How well people are enabled to provide valuable input to decision making. So essentially, imagine that you have 10 teams, yeah, and they have own backlogs, and probably they have something on the top. In order for them to influence the decision about the whole product on the top of this structure, they would have to go to their product owner. The product owner would have to this chief product owner, for instance. So this is quite a long way. And during this way, a lot can be lost. And maybe it's not even that much important for people to do. So enablement and commitment are crucial parts of the engagement. So they just called it engagement. Don't mix it up with other types of engagement that many companies put into this word. Exactly, the commitment and enablement. On the other hand, and this probably if you participated in CLP courses, the speed and cost associated with adaptation. So Craig calls it cost of transaction, for instance. This was a crucial part too, because in order to really have a high speed of adaptations, we need to be able to do it fast, right? And of course at low cost. Speed of learning contributed to this too. And they called it, they called it a little bit differently, but for the sake of this presentation, I put it adaptiveness for value maximization. So essentially, these two were declared by the company as optimization goals, okay? And now the question, well guys, we did a great job, optimization goals are defined, but are they really those needed for the company? How they could check it? Of course, this diagram is quite simplified, but in general, it can go the same way. First of all, they put the progress towards strategic business goals as the main variable, and then try to understand what it depends the most on. Customer satisfaction. Quite a lot of companies don't have this strong dependency. So for instance, when you work as a subcontractor, I mean not the person, but the company, like just delivering software to someone and you don't care about the satisfaction of the real users of this software. You just care about this manager who buys this software. Your personal success does not depend on satisfaction of customers. Then probably this is not your way. But in this company, it was decided that they have exactly this connection. And customer satisfaction hugely depended on the speed of customer value increase. So it was a quite competitive market and competitors could be first and blah, blah, blah. So speed of customer value increase was very important. One of the key organizational characteristics impacting that one was the feature velocity. Surprise, yeah? Okay, but also customer value delivered with each output. And this is exactly that example that I showed at the beginning. So the customer value had much stronger impact. All these uncertainties, so they did this mapping of these uncertainties, and they understood that actually all these uncertainties have a tremendous impact on the customer value delivered with each output. But also, they discovered that organization can be sort of set better or worse for the feature velocity. And also, design, functional, and especially technical solutions can be full of technical debt, for instance, and then, yeah, you cannot have high speed. Yeah? Feature velocity depended on these uncertainties too. Finally, they also took into account benefit-cost ratio. Well, in quite many cases, companies, well, at least agile coaches do not put this on the diagram because it is kind of tricky. So they did it, and they discovered that for the benefit-cost ratio, actually the same picture. So they discovered that the same uncertainties had a very, well, the biggest risk amount came exactly from these uncertainties. Summary. High adaptiveness, this is what they declared. High adaptiveness, which is ease of adapting directions, implementation, and the organization for value maximization. And high engagement, commitment, and enablement for every team member. That was the set of goals. And speaking about mutagens, what they could achieve with that. Not defined? Well, obviously they are defined. Yeah? Now, okay, cool. Inconsistent with strategic business goals. Looks like they checked that. Maybe first time, maybe wrong, right? So maybe they should check it again later on. But anyways, let's consider that it is consistent with strategic business goals. Yeah, but what about the last one? Not promoted. Now let's look at this one, if you have time. Okay. First, if you know less well, then you should know the concept of component teams. So I will go through it very quickly. Essentially, if on the top you have customers, and in order to deliver something to your customers, again, speaking about software products, then you need to analyze some market situation or needs of customers, whatever. Develop something, test it, so some functions should be executed. And also, you need some architecture. Imagine that this is front-end, back-end, and some integrations. In some companies, teams are organized around these components, either architecture or functional components. And quite in many cases, they get team backlogs. Yeah? Unfortunately, they have a problem here because the customer value, the real value that customer receives as a result of work of these teams, needs all of them. Yeah? It comes through all these architectural components or functional components. And now imagine the same manager, yeah, and he has a very, well, I agree that this is quite important concern, quality of technical and functional solutions. And he says that this is just a common sense, that in order to address this concern, we need more component teams. And this guy, Scrum Master, for instance, or maybe a developer sometimes, so he thinks that look, but it's maybe not consistent with less principles. And previously, of course, they came through CLP and they know about these less principles. So what manager can say? Well, yeah, theory is good, but quality of technical and functional solutions are too important. Yeah? Yes, of course, but we can find ways to address your concerns in other ways. When I spoke to this manager, did I say, yeah, okay. I spoke to this manager, and in the private, discussion, he explained the point, because this is what he said, actually. We just know this works better, but his thought was that this is just theoretical, and yes, people tell me that it works, but look, it's so complex, it's so difficult to understand how to achieve this, and even more, my management expects me that I drive this, but I don't know how. So it's much easier for me to go the simple way, this way. And now it comes to the optimization goals. So just let's stop here for a second. In the companies that do not have the optimization goals, I would bet that somewhere here the discussion would stop or proceed the same way. Yeah? So one says that, yeah, but our principles, yes, but agile, yes, but something. And other would say, yes, but this is theoretical, stop this, whatever they call it. So the point is that when you have the optimization goals, discussion can be set a different way. Is it consistent with optimization goals? And then manager says, well, from my perspective, yes, because having more focus on the functional and technical solutions ultimately will help us to maximize the value delivered to the customer. Let's check it out. Okay. So first of all, what are the optimization goals? The same optimization goals we discussed so far. High engagement and high adaptiveness for value maximization. On the side of engagement, you have enablement of people and their commitment. And high adaptiveness is essentially about speed and affordability of adaptations. First of all, the more component teams means the more time is needed for one team to switch their focus and start working on another component. Why? Because this organization tried once to merge their backlogs. Really merge their backlogs in one backlog and just make it transparent what actually happened. And guys from backend discovered that they are doing stuff on the number 2025 something. The top priority for them was number 2025 for the whole this product. And management discovered this too. And they wanted, look, maybe we can somehow, people from backend work on the front end. Yeah, well, for people who know what it is, they can say, well, you can try, of course. So the point of this is that the time needed to really change focus is tremendous. Even should they decide on the different organization, it would take time, obviously, right? So inconsistent with this optimization goal. Next. More component teams means less motivation of people to think about the whole product. Why? Because I have my front end, I don't need anything else. Well, okay, front end is closer to the customer. I have my integrations. Where's my customer? My integrations are my customer. Backend even better. Front end and integrations are my customers. Okay, no motivation to think about the real customer, inconsistent. And then last point. Transparency of priorities. So before they had this common backlog, they even didn't know. Nobody knew that they invest money into several teams who actually work on the lowest important items, maybe even not needed. So, inconsistent. What can we do? Okay, luckily we have this guy, Scrum Master, certified CLP, of course. And he says, guys, I know what can help you. Feature teams, bumps. Yeah, they checked and looks like it's consistent with their optimization goals. But how can we do it? Okay, you're telling me that this is consistent with these optimization goals. This is nice. And I know that upper management know about this stuff. Upper management decided that these optimization goals are must-have. So I cannot go, even despite the fact that I am just a manager with my background, with my mental model, with my power and chair, whatever. But I need to know how to do it. And the point is the following. If you actually achieve and, okay, not achieve, but improve towards these optimization goals, then you have all you need. Because people are enabled. And people are motivated. They are committed to achieve what is needed for the customer. You don't need anything else. Well, okay, you need probably anything. And this is about the adaptation. Because, again, no one can give reliable answers upfront. Your architects, how many times they gave you kind of wrong advice? It was not wrong. It was just because of this reality of this world. So you need to be adaptive enough to try one approach and then change to another one. And of course, he said, well, look, it sounds really great, but what I need to achieve this? And there was a lot. So I'm not going to go through all of this, but in general, this is about good practices, methods, but first of all, about the understanding what principle stands behind this. Okay. Yeah, my point is the following. The same happened in another company of my fellow, and it was very difficult. He said that they did not buy this because, as you can see again, the number of all of these needed to achieve these optimization goals, and then so that it could help them to achieve this, to address this concern, it's quite impressive. And people without really any background, any experience in Agile, they buy it very difficultly. Yeah? So if you are speaking to the people who are expected to do this, then you first of all need to have some power behind your statements. And the optimization goals, if they are promoted by management, if they are set really as must-have, then this is something that you can come, okay, look, despite the fact that you don't know how to do it, yeah, I know how to do it, but you maybe don't trust me, but we need to do this. Yeah, sorry for putting this that straightforward, but yeah, there's lack of trust between people sometimes, maybe even not sometimes. Okay. So what I suggest by this presentation is to prevent agile mutagens of agile transformations. And again, I want to say that these are not all the mutagens, but I believe truly from all my experiences as a permanent employer, as a consultant, that if you don't fix this, you have much lower chances in succeeding whatever you're trying to implement, agile speaking. You know? Ensure that optimization goals are defined, promoted, and consistent with strategic business goals. So, thank you very much. It was a pleasure. Now, questions, if you have any. Questions, answers. Okay, let's do it this way. Let's raise a hand who did not fall asleep during this. Okay, no. It will be not fair.
It's a specific question.
Yeah.
Do you have example of exact optimization goal, like specific for the company? I mean, not the label like adaptiveness or speed or something, but do you have exact example of the strategic of the optimization goal in one of the companies you work for?
Yes, I have example from tricky point. Can you just forget what I tell you right now? Because tomorrow I will have another talk, and I will tell that I cannot call the name of the company, okay? because of the legal reasons. But I can tell you, so you can just look at my this slide. So in one company, it was clearly stated that the optimization goals are, maybe I look at my slide because I don't remember. I want to give you it really.
We don't need the company, right?
Better. Come to my speech tomorrow. You will have those, okay? But unfortunately, in that case, they caught one of these mutagens, which was about not promoted. It was consistent with business goals. It was really designed kind of even before the start of LESS, but it was not promoted. And predominantly what I told you here about this promotion is one of the examples exactly from this company, how I tried to do. And unsuccessful attempt was exactly in this company. Maybe this is why I'm not there anymore. So, any other questions?
And how do you get to the point that, because you work for, I think, hierarchical companies, that you don't have incentives for single success?
Oh, such a complex question. Can you put it in other words?
So I think in like I know German companies, it's common that you are incentivized by your single success, not by team success or
okay,
by
yeah.
fulfilling common goals.
Individual incentivizing, yeah, okay.
HR transformation. How do you get to the point that you get it done?
Get it, what it done?
That you have. Yeah, perhaps you can show the slide, but
Okay.
About
About?
incentives, not for single success, single employee success.
Ah, yeah, I remember. Give me a sec.
Yeah, prevention of
Mhm.
incentivizing.
Yeah, just kill this practice.
How do you want to kill it?
Yeah, so look, first of all, I must say that if one German company could do that, then probably others can do too. So come to my speech tomorrow. However, I'm not going to speak about how they do it, but at least you can figure out that they did it, and maybe you can speak to the people who work there. Speaking about, maybe we can, I don't know who is interested about German companies. Okay. Then I know that there are two types of contracts, first of all, right? And for one type of contracts, which is kind of just normal worker, they could manage to do this. So there was no incentivizing of really like achievements. So those kind of bonuses, they were distributed regardless of anything connected to the work of the person. It was connected to the achievements of the company. But in other type of contract, which is kind of management contract, they could not manage it anyhow. So that was a problem. And thank you for asking these questions. Yes, of course. I would say that maybe they did not want that much. This is a separate question, right? So I believe that if you really want to achieve something, you can find solutions. What are possible solutions? For instance, if you put these bonuses or whatever it is incentivizing, even individual goals, yeah, but you put them for everyone the same, and these goals are strictly the same as the common goals of this team or this product group, for instance. Then kind of you are fulfilling the mandatory requirements like regulations, because people have their goals, but these goals are not actually individual. They are set individually, but they are the same for everyone, and actually the common goals of the whole product group. Legally, is it possible or not? I'm not a legal person, I know. So unfortunately, yeah. Okay, other questions? Yeah.
With the company?
Techniques to ensure that defined, promoted, and consistent.
Yes.
Well, this technique is called systems thinking, first of all. So I must admit that this is not that straightforward, because every company is, of course, excuse me, I will return to my place. So every company is, of course, unique, in some sense, yeah, because different dynamics inside it, and even different, as you saw, different dependencies of their strategic progress towards business goals. But it's always, you need experienced coach, maybe, if you can do it yourself. Then you put people like those people who really know what happens with this company from the business perspective, from the very bottom perspective. Yeah, sorry for bottom, but anyways. You just make sure that they have a common goal to understand these dynamics. You try to go approximately this way. Once I tried to do what? I took this example from that company and said, look, let's try to challenge it. Let's try to find the flaws in this logic, applying it to our company. Is it good or bad? Maybe people could get biased because of seeing that and just accepting this. But luckily in that example of that company, they said, no, this works completely differently. This is absolutely clear. Our technical solutions are absolutely clear. We know for sure what to do with, within the next 5 years, and it was their decision, right? So technique is either you start from the scratch or you take some example and try to challenge it. But anyway, system thinking, nothing else. Personally, I try to find similar approaches to optimization goals in other companies, but I think that each time it's tailored to a specific coach. So, yeah, this is it. I'm not sure that answered your question, but I cannot give you anything more specific. So essentially what you need to do is to understand where your majority of your risk comes. So you need to look at your business departments, marketing department, maybe some others, right, which actually contribute to your business value generation flow, and try to understand, can you give me reliable answers to these questions? What questions you cannot me guarantee that it will go exactly that way, or even you cannot estimate. When I was a project manager, I always had, when I was successful project manager, I always had some guys who could tell me what time will it take and what buffer should I put on it in order to be successful, right? It was simple, well, more or less simple. But when it comes to these uncertainties, you first need to find them out. One of the approaches is mapping. So you can put, describe your value stream, for instance, yeah, the whole stream from the from the ideation up to delivery, for instance, if you deliver anything. And at each step, you can try to challenge it. Do we have here questions to which we cannot answer upfront? Reliably answer. And challenge. So quite in many cases, especially technical managers, they are a little bit over optimistic, and you need to create the atmosphere of safety, because not every manager is really ready to say, well, you know, I know nothing, yeah, I cannot give you any because before this moment they gave you answers, and they gave you these answers saying, yes, this should we do, right? So you need to create this atmosphere, because otherwise you can fail just because of the human nature. So a lot of stuff. I can give another lecture about this maybe. Okay? All right, other questions? Yeah, so just to remind you that the concept of optimization goals is, it exists in LESS, right? So LESS, if you participated in CLPs, you could probably hear about the LESS optimization goals. So I tried to challenge these optimization goals personally, and I did not find any inconsistency with LESS optimization goals. So this is why I thought that it makes sense to show these optimization goals exactly in the LESS conference. Yet maybe in your case, even in LESS adoption, you can decide on other optimization goals. They can be maybe even consistent with these ones, but the point is, again, what is the primary concern? And always you have a choice to go the easier way towards your primary concern, right? Or to go the difficult way. But do you know do you want to go the difficult way if you have a simple way. No. So you will go simple way. And if your primary concern is wrong or not optimal for the company, you will do something suboptimal. So you need to ensure that everyone within the company go in one single direction. This is simple. And this type of conflict of these guys, a lot of frustration in many companies. So I would say that more than 70% of my companies, for sure, I saw that a lot of Scrum Masters, really knowledgeable, bright minds, they were so frustrated together with me. And this frustration was just based on very simple concept. Other people with whom I could not find common grounds, they just needed something different. They are also bright people, quite many. And this tragedy came to us only from the point that we are lacking this North Pole. This is it, simple. Okay, I can spend another hour on this, but you have other sessions. Thank you very much. If you want, come to my speech tomorrow, and probably you can find me and we can chat privately. Thank you.